Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4. I'm Gavin. With me this week, I have got Seany, Keith, and Emmet. This show is brought to you by a new charity drive that we're doing that I will get into halfway through the show if I remember. If I forget after about 30 minutes, one of the lads here will shout at me and I'll give you all the details. If you're watching and you haven't hit the like button, do it now before we get into the whole crux of the matter. Hit the like button. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, subscribe as well. It helps us a lot, I'm being told. So like, subscribe, go to the bell icon, knock that on, and every time we go live or we upload videos, you'll get a notification so you won't miss anything. All shows, of course, are available for audio download as well. And if you've downloaded them, it takes about 30 seconds to hit the review button, say, yeah, these are great, hit 5 stars, and then go about your day. So there you go. PMax says, no FSG excuses, please. Okay, we'll get to that in a bit.
No bother, PMac.
Any other requests?
Anything else?
Do you want to sing a song? Anything else? We have got an alternative ending to a movie as well this week, which we were discussing earlier, which you're going to love. Keith, this is fucking brutal. Poxy. Absolutely brutal. And you know what? I'm just looking at things and worries you have, and you kind of get a bit of an upturn against Dijk, although I don't think we are great in the first 35 minutes or so of that. But you get a little bit of an upturn in that, and then here we are again, Sunday evening, talking about a game that's gone in 24 hours ago, and you're like, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
I think the PMac says, speak the truth. If you think we're lying to you, knock off me. Seriously. Yeah. Keith, go on.
Sorry, yeah. I think the Ajax thing was all played a bit. I thought we were good against Ajax. Ajax had to win that game and came out at the start. Had one chance at the beginning, but then huffed and puffed and ran out of steam. I thought we were good in that, and that's one of the most frustrating things for me is that, you know, we can lift a game for Manchester City, get beaten by Nottingham Forest, go out and do the business against Ajax, and then get beaten by Leeds. You know, it's so inconsistent. It's frustrating, and that's the biggest issue I have is it consistency. I don't know if it is, because they can go out and put out these performances, but then they drop these absolute stinkers in between them. And to me, it's a mentality issue with some of these lads. They've gone through. I mean, if you look at the bulk of that squad and the bulk of the team that plays, that they're a long time. They've got a lot of miles on the clock. They've got a lot of, you know, it takes a lot to do these 90-plus seasons. We know that it's hard to keep doing them and to be in these big races all the time. But these lads look shattered mentally and physically. But I'm not going to give them the excuse this week, because the laziness that I see now is starting to annoy me. It's starting to fucking grind on me. And I don't mean lazy physically, I mean lazy mentally. And look, I like Joe Gomez as an option, but he's in the firing line for me at the moment, because it's these little lapses that are giving away chances that are turning into goals all the time. And people can blame Alisson on the one yesterday, but you know, Gomez hits a blind ball back and gives away a goal. So he's one that's just, it to me, is struggling. I like him, but I don't know. He's the one that's starting to do my head in at the moment. We will talk about, I suppose, how Liverpool have been performing, how the manager has been performing. And look, you've done a show about FSG the other night, and I thought it was very good. It was very balanced. I think everyone was of the opinion that they've done good off the pitch, but on the pitch we need to do more. I agree with you. Do you know what I mean? I agree with you that they do need to do more, but they're not on the pitch. And these are lads that have gone to the well for us all over and over again, and we're not seeing the desire and I sound like fucking Eamon Dunphy and John Giles here, the honesty of effort, do you know what I mean, that you want from lads. If the chips are down, sometimes you have to just grind these things out. And we're getting beaten by the 20th team in the league last week and the 19th team in the league this week. There's no excuse for it. Do you know what I mean? There's blame for everybody in the whole fucking club on this, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, it's frustrating, it's annoying. at least they gave us till Saturday night to ruin our weekend this week.
Yeah, it wasn't Saturday morning. Shane McCall says body language of these players is awful. No fight at all. Losers mentality at the minute. All feeling sorry for themselves. Get a grip and show some balls. Sean Swain with a super chat says, Jurgen Klopp, he's won the Grand Slam. No out talk is welcome. Personally, I think any talk of Jurgen Klopp leaving Liverpool Football Club is mental. Somebody else said, I want to bring it up because let me see. Tony says, still making fun of people who want the best for the club. I see. We're not making fun of anyone, Tony. We're trying to have a bit of laugh. For fuck's sake, I don't think.
Feelings, Tony, do we?
I don't think I don't think the lad that was talking earlier. He's in the chat all the time. Let me see. What was the name? PMac NZ. I presume that's New Zealand. PMac's in here loads. He knows what our humour is like. We're not laughing at anyone or making a laugh of anyone. And everyone wants the best for the club as well. So we'll leave that there. Shawnee, you know, Keith does say he looks shattered mentally and physically. And I don't think that's an excuse Keith's making. I think he's just, they are shattered mentally and physically. But, you know, what does another one up here? Dylan O'Rourke doesn't agree with Keith. He says, it's not inconsistency, it's constantly shy. We've been outplayed by Leeds and Forest. Can lose games in a season, that happens. But we deserve to lose the games we are. I kind of half agree with both Shawnee there, because I think at the start of the season we were kind of going, look, we're getting into the season, you know, quick turnaround, blah, 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 blah. And we're kind of, not making excuses, but giving them a bit of leeway. But I'm kind of on the side that I agree that they're physically and mentally shattered, but I don't think we're doing anything to help ourselves, game on game. Anything whatsoever.
I think we're consistently inconsistent. That's what we've been. I think what was kind of we all thought it was like a blip, like the first game away to Fulham, the opening day of the season. You think, they can be up for it, and they were up for it. But they ran all over us, and then Palace gave us bother. I had a look. I made this point a few weeks ago on a podcast, and like it still hasn't changed. I looked back at our fixtures. I'm actually going to just pull them up now real quick. I looked at the results and the games we've played and our fixtures, and I was going through them like kind of one-on-one, having a look, trying to see, because from what I can see, like I look right here. So we start at Fulham, it's 2-2. Palace 1-1. United beat us 2-1. We're well beaten, to be fair. We get a late goal. We beat Bournemouth 9-0, which is looking like an anomaly. So Newcastle 2-1, last minute winner. Everton 0-0, could have lost it, could have won it. Brighton 3-0, could have lost it, could have won it. Arsenal beaten 3-2. City 1-0, could have lost it, could have won it. West Ham 1-0, nearly drew at the end, a last minute block. Forest 1-0, could have won it, could have lost it. Tight game, right in it. And yesterday was just the same. We're getting into these ding dongs every week. There's no control in the game. There's like literally, I was sitting in the pub yesterday with a Leeds fan, and he turns around and goes, "What are Liverpool doing here? What are you taking quick throw-ins and quick kick-outs? We're all obvious. Just take the fucking sting out of the game. You're at Anfield. And we just went tit for tat with them. And again, like Keith saying about, like, I'm with Keith on the Gomez train. You can't be brilliant one week against City and then go out and just look like a fucking headless chicken, because he was terrible. He was terrible away to Forest, and he was terrible yesterday. And 100%. It's just like, I see panic in every single one of our players this season, including Van Dijk. Panic. Fabinho does be in yards of space now, and he's just hacking at the ball. There's just, the players look physically and mentally burnt out, but it's not an excuse here, because you should be fucking beating 19-20 in the league handy with the quality that we have. And I said it to Keith the other night in the WhatsApp. I asked, like, I like Harvey Elliott, but what does he do? If I turn around and I said to you, what does Harvey Elliott do? What type of... He's busy. Answer. He's busy. Doesn't create a lot of chances.
Yeah, I think
he's neat, tidy.
I think there's some.
We've went away from what made Liverpool so great. The Genie, Hendo, fucking Fabinho, midfield that we had. Functionality, walk rate, efficiency, quality, recycling. Let the Mavericks do that work. Doesn't work for us. And what's happening is our defence is bearing the brunt for our midfielder having no control. And our attackers are under constant pressure, needed to take every chance they get because they know we're shipping 1 or 2 here. We don't keep fucking clean sheets anymore.
No, we're never gonna keep clean sheets. Just on the Harvey Elliott thing, I think he's one of the. In fairness, I think he's one of the players that.
He's not.
Shawnee. I'm looking through this side, and Harvey Elliott's a young kid playing football, right? Very, very good, right?
Yes.
And if you're in Liverpool's first team, he should be expected to play.
Yes.
Like he should be in Liverpool's first team. But the only grace I give Harvey Elliott is I think he's been one of our better players this season. I think he has because I think he's held the ball better. I think hold on, I'll answer you. What do you think he does? I think he holds the ball better than a lot of players have. Fabinho being the biggest one, and we got onto him a bit. I think he works. I think he works harder than a lot of midfielders, right? And you see, that's the thing. People say to you, "Oh, well, he works." Well, yeah, because when you look at the other ones around him, they're being walked past, right? I think Harvey Elliott, for as good as he is still 19 or 20 years of age, whatever he might be. He still needs at this, and hold on, he still needs at this stage of his career, if he's coming in, he needs, and it should be expected, that big players around him perform, and none of them are. None of them.
That's what I think.
Alisson,
I
think Alisson has performed. I think Harvey Elliott has performed. I've seen good performances from certain players, but there's some of them, and listen, this is me just absolutely cracking the whip on all these players because there's obviously issues as to why. But at the same time, we're watching it all the time what's going on, and we're not fucking changing anything. If you're going to get ran through midfield, turn around, swallow your pride and say, listen, we're putting 3 back in there, and 2 of them are going to sit in front of them centre halves, and we're going to pull everything back into our half, because there's no point. We're not pressing the fucking ball. We're actually, by pressing at the moment, we're opening ourselves up to all sorts. Emma, how are you feeling after that yesterday? Go whatever direction you want, because this will go whatever direction we feel like it.
I'm kind of I'm with Keith as well. It's not. I don't want to say laziness. They do look mentally tired, but we're passing balls, like Gomez aside. We're playing blind passes, that used to come off, or we used to be in those positions, and maybe they're not used to a new formation or whatever, but the amount of times we gave the ball away yesterday was unbelievable. And Thiago, more than anybody probably, although I think Elliott yesterday probably wasn't his best game. I think a lot of our attacks that broke down were down to Elliott. He has been one of our best players, but the yardstick isn't very big, like, do you know what I mean, this season. I don't want to be getting all positive. There's no way of being positive, but we've been in worse positions. I think it's just that this one has happened at the very start of the season, and it's not got any better.
But Emma, we've been. Hold on, I'll answer the question then. We've been in worse positions, but that's probably due to a lack of form, a little bit of unluck. Looks not being against us, injuries, whatever. We've been in that position, but you looked at the players. You meant, listen, he's had a dip or he's missing. But at the moment, if you're being honest, you're looking, going, that's not a dip anymore. That's not a dip anymore. That's not a dip anymore. And I'll give you, the players are injured, right? But what player is injured that's going to come in and play in that midfield and stop us being walked all over?
Yeah, no, look, it's going to need somebody to come in. It's going to need recruitment to fix that, because, look, myself and Keith said in the summer when we were talking about midfielders, we were more on the defensive side of things, like somebody who come in behind Fabinho, and I think that's more apparent than ever. I don't know what's wrong with him. Chap's only 28, right? So I'm not on board with his legs are gone. I don't know. There's been several instances over the last couple of weeks where Klopp has absolutely balled him out of it. So I don't know whether something's gone on there or has gone on.
I've noticed it 2 or 3 times in the last 4 or 5 games. Yeah.
Do you know what else I noticed? And somebody else said earlier on there, and I'm not always one for the atmosphere at Anfield has been shite, but I don't know whether anybody else noticed in the chat or here. Did anybody see Fabinho trying to get the crowd going at one stage yesterday? If you
No,
watch
it's
the full match back, he's turning around. He's actually looking into the cop, trying to. Shouldn't be doing that either. Like, do you know what I mean?
No.
But it is. Look, our midfield has been played through way too much, and that's where the problems are. We have to rotate Henderson and Fabinho. I only said it last night. I was in the pub watching it as well, and the fucking stick I got off United fans, and I don't have an answer. Normally have an answer, like, do you know what I mean? Or you can pop back, but I just had to sit there and take it. We're now making substitutes not to impact on the game, but to save lads' legs. Do you know what I mean? And that's been the last few games. Normally, and you do that if you're 3 or 4 ahead. We've been making these changes to save lads' legs while we're 0-0, 1-1, 1-0. Like, do you know what I mean? Who was it yesterday? Milner, Jones, Henderson.
Milner for Trent. Yeah,
we're looking for a second goal, and you've got Carvalho. I know he hasn't set the world on fire just yet, but surely you need to be. We only used 3 subs yesterday, so look, I don't know how to feel. I saw, I think it was actually Dylan as well, just there in one of the comments saying that other managers will have lost their jobs at this stage, but Klopp has so much in the bank, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why other managers, because they don't. But look, talk of that is ridiculous. But you do kind of need to nearly start questioning his decisions, his substitutions, I don't want to say starting lineups. Do you know what I mean? But something has to change.
Keith, the midfield is a huge concern, right? But when you look, we've tried this too, sitting, and we have one in front in Firmino, and we have Salah on one side, whatever it might be, right? Elliott might go one side, whoever it is. Now, we are missing Jota, right? Jota's a really good pressure the ball, but like, Jota's missing, right? Jota, Firmino, Salah, Nunez, Diaz, right? So, if you do you have any sympathy for the midfield? Because when you look at what we have up front, no, I'm not asking you to say yes to this. I'm just putting it out there. Because what I know from a Liverpool side is, if we go out with 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, and we want to play up that high, and we want to have them advanced players that advanced up the pitch when we don't have the ball, it's so much down to the press, right? Not winning the ball back, but hurrying people into things where we make a load of balls 70-30 in our favour, and then we win it, and then we go from there. But when you look at our forwards at the minute, the press isn't there. Midfield is getting on top of, and then the midfield, I don't think, have the legs, and then the defence is going. Our defence was used to, defend them when we needed to, but overall we are all about, listen, when anything comes towards us, we've 70. It's a 70-30 ball, and we're going to win it. Van Dijk, whoever it might be. Do you have any sympathy for the midfield, or do you just think, hold on, if they're going to go up that high, and okay, and the press isn't great, they should have some sort of shape, Keith? Because when I look at it, I just think there's one ball coming out of that defence from Leeds or Nottingham Forest or whoever, and all they're doing is laying a ball off somewhere, and there's a fella gone right through the middle of our pitch or our midfield. Do you have any sympathy for them, or do you think it's just constant rotation of players that I genuinely look at them and think they can't complete a game? That's how bad I think they are.
Yeah, the only sympathy I have is that they're the scapegoats for it now. Do you know what I mean? Like that, they're, Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago are now 2 from that 3 tend to be getting the start in there, and none of them are pulling up trees. Look, I'm a huge Thiago fan. I don't think he's playing great. Henderson doing nothing. Great assist in Ajax. Other than that, not really doing much. Fabinho falling off a cliff really form-wise. Whether he can get that back or not, I don't know. I don't really have much sympathy for the midfield in that I think they're big enough and ugly enough to know how to play football. Do you know what I mean? These are all top players. Do you know, I have sympathy for Harvey Elliott in the sense, and look, me and Shawnee have spoke back and forth about Harvey Elliott. I agree with what Shawnee says. He's not a central midfield player. He's an attacking midfield player who doesn't have defensive chops, that doesn't have the instincts to do the little covers and all them little bits that you need to do. But I do think he is trying, whereas I think it's easier if you're a player like that, if you're going into a team that has an on-form Fabinho and an on-form Thiago. We don't have that, and I think he's suffering for it. The forwards are doing as much work. If we take chances, we win the games easily, and that's the story in every game. So, as Shawnee said, we're touch and go on most of these games, whether we win them or lose them, but we should really be winning them all. But it's still papering over the cracks that the midfield is old and slow, and it's not able to win the games. We've said this loads of times in this channel before. Our midfield just needs to be functional. Our midfield needs to be the engine of the team, in the sense that it just has to facilitate attacking fullbacks and an attacking unit that likes to get forward and do what it has to do. And that's why they were so good. And I said it before, Manchester United's best team for me was 08 to 10, when they had Ronaldo, Tevez, Berbatov, Rooney, but they had absolute stockings of shite in midfield who could just do a job for them to allow them to play. And that's what Liverpool were good at. At the moment, we have lads who cannot move, but they're all experienced international players who should be able to say, right, I can't move, I can't press, but I can still pass the ball. And they're not passing the ball well enough. They're not holding the ball well enough. They're not keeping the ball. They're playing blind passes. They're playing quick passes that are going nowhere. And they're just putting pressure back onto the team. The forwards, Diaz was our best attacking player so far this season, in my opinion, till he got injured, because he was able to take the ball and be an out ball. So when the fuck do we need the forward to be the out ball to relieve the pressure? Do you know what I mean? We apply the pressure and we're not doing that. Now, you lose a Sadio Mane from your team, and we all know, we can rewrite history and say, oh, Mane was always great. He was off the boil last season, but he constantly works his arse off. He constantly worked hard, and he constantly had that will to win. And we're in a bit of a transition up the top end of the pitch as well, in my opinion. Not just in the midfield and the defence. The defence is where I expect, there's no changes there. I expect them to be able to do better as well. But it's just all over the pitch, Gav. It's all over the pitch. I blame the midfield in the sense that, they're not inexperienced. They should be able to do something more than what they're doing. But they're not getting any help. They're not getting help from the forwards. They're not getting help from the defence. And they're not getting help from the club, the manager, the owners, whoever it is that are not investing. We've said it a million times. You said it last week on the FSG show. You need to be future-proof in all your positions. You need to have younger midfield players in there. And it doesn't have to be, I think we need 4 now, but we didn't always have to be 4. Do you know what I mean? It should have been 1. It should have been 1. It should have been 1. And that's how you build it up. Instead, we've got a case where we've got the slowest midfield in the league. No way of changing it. Like, unless Naby Keita. If Naby Keita is the answer, I don't know what the question is. And what can we do? We bring in Arthur Melo. The fella gets injured till February, and he's still there. The fuck is that? Like, have we done a deal that we're signing this fella?
Say,
or what?
No,
because
I would say he's still there, because I would say it's something written in that he stays there. I honestly believe if Liverpool had the option, he'd be gone.
I don't know, but an injury like that usually doesn't.
No, because the quote that came out was that he would stay at the club. He's not due back till January, they said, and there was no breaking of loan clause.
No break clause, yeah,
in the thing. Yeah. So they're stuck with him. Mem Create says, with a super chat, he says, when Thiago's won in midfield, coming out with the most turnovers, it's telling that the midfield are currently caught between helping defenders and supporting the attack. Klopp was yelling at Fabinho that you're the fucking 6. Like, Shawnee, we're watching these games, it's like fucking Groundhog Day for most of them. But
yeah.
No, you're right, because you've read out a load of stuff there earlier, and you're kind of going similar game. How we can see that they're very similar, and yeah, it's a mistake from Gomez, and I'll get into a couple of players in a bit. But like, surely if Klopp's looking at this, right, and okay, say for argument's sake, there's players off form, right, and he doesn't have the options, right, he doesn't have the options to change it because of we've a few people missing. No. I just want to ask you, if players are out of form, i.e. say Fabinho, and he hasn't got the options, he's trying to rotate as much as he can, but he can't all the time, right? Because I genuinely think there's something up at Henderson, because he genuinely can't complete a game of football, right? But surely, Shawnee, should the manager look and go, okay, he's out of form, he fucking has a niggle, we're not playing well, and change something, Shawnee?
I don't think you can, Gav.
Shawnee, like even the way we go out and approach games.
Yeah,
you've said it. We're making it a ding-dong game, and we're never coming out on top of it.
I think it just, like, we're more or less starting games now 1-0 down, and it's like a mentality thing, and that's kind of, I didn't do the pod last Sunday because, like, after that Forest game, I'm kind of a little bit withdrawn from it now. Like, you wouldn't believe, honestly. I said I would be at the start of the season, and I actually have been. But that fucking Forest game royally wound me up because it looked like they were feeling sorry for themselves. And there's a bit of that going on as well, I think. But I just think that it all comes down, if you look at like what this Liverpool team is built on. It's a system. It's always been a well-oiled machine, and basically now you fucking half the cogs are gone out of the middle. The rest of it's not going to work. It's not like we were this sort of gun ho, no holds barred, fucking throw everything at it, wait on moments of quality sort of team. We operate as a system. It's all been so methodical. The way we build up the attacks, the midfielders allowing the fullbacks to get on, the fullbacks taking pressure off the forwards, allowing them to go inside. Now you have Mo Salah, who's pinned to the line, further away from the goal than he's ever been. You've Darwin Núñez, who's a different type of forward that we've ever had. And you Diaz, who was out, who was playing well. And Bobby, who, in my opinion, has been our best player this season. Firmino. But it just so happens that Bobby didn't play a whole lot of fucking football last year, so he's not as bollocks. You need to remember, they played 63 games last year. This was always going to happen. This was always going to happen. The fact that they didn't fucking rectify it in the summer is now just coming back to bite us. Because what's happening now is we're being bitten for windows where we only made 2 or 3 signings when we should have made 4.
Yeah.
And we found ourselves, we've always said it, we were a window behind the whole time. And we had to fucking rectify that. And they didn't. They made a bollocks of it. And the wheels are coming up now for so many different reasons because of burnout. The bodies aren't there. Klopp can't rotate. He can't rotate, so the players are getting injured more. There's fucking hamstrings going all over the league. Footballers have never been asked to play more football in this season. And then after a 64-game season last year, where, if I'm being honest with you, we got 2 fucking kicks to the face in the last week of the season last year with what happened with the Villa and the City game, and then what happened in fucking Paris before and after the game. It was never, ever, ever going to be good enough just to go in and go, they'll go again. They'll do it. There's Núñez, Mane out, Núñez in. Who else did we sign this summer?
Ramsey and Carvalho. No problem with that if there was a midfielder on top of it.
I'm fine with that. But you need to be looking going, what the fuck? How did he expect us to get through this? Who's watching this? And now you're reading around now that the club are looking for fucking doctors and all. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Well, Darius, let me just go on.
It just blows my mind that we've been saying this stuff, and I'll speak for me. I know little of fuck all about football. Honestly, at the highest level, I sit here and I talk. We all saw this. We all saw it. Everybody saw this.
Well, I'm gonna hold my hand up and say I wouldn't say I've fully seen it because no. I'm gonna be honest. I did because when we were all calling for a midfielder. Yeah, well, I get that, but I kind of naively, I suppose, when I listened to Klopp, and Klopp was like, "No, I'm happy with this and I'm happy with that," and I kind of took it on board that listen, he knows the ins and outs of every player here, every yard they run, all this fucking stuff, and I kind of you trust the expert, like it's like bringing me car to a mechanic and he says you need that and I'm going to go, no I fucking don't. Well, he's a mechanic, he knows about the car, he knows more than you. So me possibly naively went, well, he said he doesn't want one, you know what I mean, he said he doesn't kind of need one, and I kind of went with that. Now he's admitted he's wrong. I think it's wrong, and I think in fairness, when you look at it now, it's not only where we're treading water with it and we're kind of going, we're getting through games but this isn't improving, we're drowning. We're absolutely drowning. Darius says it's obvious now that we needed investment. Are we as fans supposed to spend the next 2 months screaming into the wind about it? If that's the case, since we qualify for Champions League, I might switch off from Liverpool until then.
God, like people there are saying about Klopp, right? The loyalty thing. I don't agree with that because I think when people say loyalty, they're talking about the likes of fucking maybe Ox and Katie. But you need to realise these fellas are on obscene cash. Like, Ox is on mad money. He's on about 160, 180 grand a week. The fella doesn't play football games. How the fuck are we going to get someone to pay for him and then pay his wages? We got someone said it the other day on Twitter. We've two midfielders who should be in the prime of their careers and are giving us little at fuck all. Naby Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain. They've completely fucking, for want of a better term, hamstrung us. They should have been fucked out at the foresight. And then you're turning around saying, Klopp saying we were all right. It's fucking bollocks, Gav, because they were trying to do a deal for too many. They had a fucking 50 million deal lined up for him, and he goes off to Madrid. So how can you tell me that Liverpool, like one of the best fucking run clubs in the world, which I still believe we are, regardless of a fucking 3-month bad start to the season, how could they not go down the list of players thinking we could get him, or we'll wait for the right one? And from what I heard now, we had a fucking deal agreed for Jude Bellingham, and they won't pay the wages that he wants.
See, this is the problem, Shawnee. They're not going for the list anymore.
Jude Bellingham we were literally told if he's going to play in England, he's going to play for Liverpool, and we fucking agreed a fee with Dortmund over 100 million, and we won't pay his wages. What I heard from a fella last night from Liverpool who's close to it, and he fucking supports Everton, and he told me. He supports Everton, and he told me that's what you heard, and that's what's going around. That they won't give him the fucking wages. But
well,
he get it anywhere else. So what were he thinking? They're gonna fucking sit out and wait? It's fucking ridiculous. They fucked us royally here, and do you know who else they fucked big time? They fucked Klopp to begin with, and he's the one who's fucking kind of covering for them in a sense. But what the fuck are we gonna do, Gav? They don't give a bollocks really, because the longest we're gonna be out of Champions League now is a season. Because we'll be in it by default after that.
Yeah, well, that brings me on to this, because Jealous Ruban says they've been running to the ground because of misplaced loyalty from Klopp and underinvestment from FSG. It's simple. I think they've been, if you think they've been running to the ground, it's because of misplaced loyalty and underinvestment from FSG and Klopp. I think you need to redo that sentence, because I'm still of the opinion that if you're going to criticise or praise Liverpool Football Club, usually the praise comes in one big package, the whole lot. Aren't they so great? And then when something goes wrong, it's like, let's point the finger. However, because it was another question from Mush, and I wasn't Mush probably thought I was ignoring him or her earlier, because he says, Gav, would you demote or sack Julian Ward and get an experienced sporting director that knows how to rebuild his team, or trust Ward and Klopp to rectify their own mess? Yeah, I think you would have to trust. I think, listen, I'll put it this way. Liverpool need work. They need work, right? Yeah, I get the injuries, and that's absolutely fine. Like, you can point to injuries, but trust me, if Liverpool don't make big moves, right? And I'm not talking spend 200 million or 400 million. I'm talking if Liverpool don't make big moves, personnel wise, to change what they have between now and the start of next season, you would seriously have to look and go, what are we fucking playing at here? Because it's staring at you. It's absolutely staring at you. Emma, Joe Gomez. No, sorry, Emma. No, I'm sorry. I won't. I'll ask you this question in a second. I have to read this out, okay? Because I've promised myself I won't forget, and I nearly fucking did. Right. So, I get an email the other day, from Johnny. Johnny is a long-time viewer / listener to this show. He's watching years and years and years. Right. He emailed me to say that the charity work we've done with the likes of Keane, Sienna, Bobby, Failacon, stuff like that, he said is absolutely amazing. He said he has a thing close to home, not so much close to home, but close to him, that he would like to put forward for us to try to help with. And of course, I just went, yeah, no problem. So we have a link in the description to a GoFundMe for a girl named Lydia. Now, Lydia is 17 years of age, and she, the condition she suffers with, I struggle to say, okay? If someone wants to look up the GoFundMe there and try to call her out, you absolutely can. I'm presuming Emma or Keith or Shawnee will, right? But he's asked me to help. It's £5,000 she needs, okay? It's a big amount of money, but in the grander scheme of things, it's quite achievable what we can do, right? So I asked Johnny, and I said to Johnny, look, tell us a bit about her. Let us know. I've read the GoFundMe, which gives you great information on who she is and what she suffers with. So he did. He said her name is Lydia. She's 17, from St Albans in Herefordshire, England. She has Asperger's and autism. She unfortunately has endometriosis.
Wow, well done.
Yeah,
Well
that's
done.
it.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Wow, that's me now, you see. Yeah, anything can happen at Liverpool Football Club. I said that word right. Endometriosis. He said, ask any woman suffering with it and they'll say childbirth is easy compared to this pain. Wow. It's common in the womb. However, Lydia unfortunately has it on every organ in her body. She describes it as feeling like crushed glass in her body. Not only that, but Lydia has fractured her spine, which requires rods to keep her upright. 2 highly invasive surgeries have been required. Unfortunately, the waiting list for this can be up to 5 years. So 5 years of feeling like you've broken glass in your body. Wow. All Lydia wants to do is help rescue and rehabilitate animals for a career and be able to experience normal teen memories like going to festivals, going out with our mates, wherever it might be. She's 17, like, you know what I mean? She's in so much pain, she spends most of it on the sofa in pain. When it's manageable, she goes to college to complete her course in animal care, sometimes having to lay down in the back of the class to ease her pain. Johnny is our personal tutor, and he said, when I told Lydia about the day trippers have done in the past and who they've helped, the kind of person she is, she said she doesn't deserve it and other people deserve it more than her. So, we can put that to bed, all right? Nobody deserves anything more than anyone else. Okay, we've helped with things raising $100,000, €150,000, €120,000, €10,000. It doesn't matter how much we try to earn. The number's not important. The goal is what's important. So the link is in the description. £5,000. I think she's nearly at 1,000 already. So we're hoping to get this done nice and quickly for Lydia, so she doesn't have to wait a horrendous amount of time for 2 operations. So if you can, the link is in the description, as I said. You can click on that, you can donate, and as we always say, as Kev always tells us, €5 and €10 or £5 and £10 is what really turns this thing over at an alarming rate, where you can get it to a really good total really, really quickly. If you can't, as we always say, copy the link, send it to your friends, your family. You know, we all know kids, 17-year-old kids, 8, and doesn't matter if male or female, we all know kids that you could look at them one day and they're fine and the next, like, they're suffering from that, which is just sounds horrific, to be quite honest with you. So donate if you can, share the link if you can, and we'll get Lydia to $5,000. But as we always say, we will not stop until she gets to $5,000. We just don't, you know, we're annoying fuckers, to be quite honest with you. So check it out, and if you can help, please help, and we won't stop talking about Lydia until she hits the $5,000. And hopefully,
Gav, can I just jump in? Can I jump in just to say, don't throw in super chats for it. Go to the GoFundMe.
We'll turn off our super chats if we have to.
Yeah, just because people do think they're helping when they're doing that, but it's not the best way of getting to the target.
Because YouTube take 30% of it. So the best thing to do is, if you want to hit a super chat in here, fine, but do not do it towards that. The best thing to do is don't do the super chat. Just send it. It just literally, as you're watching the video, you can click a link and it'll bring you straight in up on your screen while you're still watching us. You can say, I was going to give €10 to the Daytrippers. Just don't. Just click this link, hit €10. It takes about 30 seconds to do. And as I said, 5s and 10s are the ones that keeps it turning over. Bigger amounts are welcome, but it's the small ones that help. And I understand loads of people are struggling at the minute. You know, loads of people are struggling, and it's not easy times at the minute for people. But if you can help, please help. Emma. Gomez. Somebody said earlier, he's 4th choice centre back. We're playing our 4th choice centre back. But Emma, we look at this guy and we think we're hoping for Joe Gomez to push, whether it's Matip or Konate to, and maybe even Virgil van Dijk at this minute. But he hasn't shown himself in a great light in the last couple of games, has he?
No, we said at the start of the season that when Konate got injured and Matip was injured as well, that he needs to take the bull by the horns, and he has in some games but hasn't in others. And I mean, that's probably the story of our season. Like we said, we're consistently inconsistent. He has been outstanding in certain games, but he's been poor in the last 2, definitely. And then Napoli obviously stands out. He stands out a mile. probably difficult when players around you also aren't playing so good. So it doesn't do your confidence any use. But I had a big argument with my cousin. He listens to the show as well. I had an argument with him on WhatsApp last night. He says, I always thought he was shite. And I was like, hang on a second. He was unbelievable back in 2019. He goes, oh yeah, that was 2019. It's only 3 years ago. And he's still only 24. So he is a decent player. But I just think that, I think somebody said the word earlier on, panic. I think he probably has a tendency to panic more than others. And is probably more guilty than others of, bar the whole Alisson pass back, of playing blind balls or just trying to get rid of a ball into the midfield, which more often than not turns us back around and is coming straight back down his throat. I still probably maintain he's probably one of England's best centre halves, and that's not saying much for what else they have. But I don't think he has to worry about his passport in terms of going to the World Cup or anything like that. But yeah, it's a shame because I really like him. He's fast, strong, but decision making isn't probably the better side of his game.
I think he might be trying too hard to impress at times. You know, like going to try win that ball against West Ham for that penalty is ridiculous. And that to me screams of a player that's just trying to be too proactive. A bit like Dejan Lovren used to be for Liverpool. And I'm not putting him in the same bracket as Dejan Lovren because
he felt like
Dejan Lovren was just like mental. You know what I mean? Had some good games, had some bad games for Liverpool, but tried to be, when Dejan Lovren was trying to be impress people, that's when you knew he was going to have a bad game. You know, proactive Lovren was just not to be there. Keith, Virgil van Dijk isn't covering himself in any glory either.
No, he's not. Again, is it the system? Do you know what I mean? Is it when one thing isn't working, people are overcompensating? But for me with Van Dijk, it just looks like he's, from the very first game against Fulham, he didn't look really at it. Now, last season he came back from the injury, and I thought he was excellent last season. You know, didn't look like he was feeling the effects of a bad injury. An injury that, look, Seany and the others have said it's not the injury it was 10, 15 years ago, so you can come back from it. But this year there's something not right with him. Now, I don't know. You know, I think we can be guilty sometimes of giving passes to our favourites and blaming the Gomez's and the Curtis Joneses of this world. But Van Dijk just looks like he's a bit too casual at the moment for my liking. In that he's just given. We know he was always a casual type of defender. Like he would stand off, and then he'd make the move when he needed to make the move. But to me, it looks like instead of being 2 steps off, he's 3 steps off, and by the time he goes to make the move, it's too late. Now, look, I don't know if Jeremiah is saying he knows it's his last World Cup, and I'm sort of, in my head, I'm thinking, has he got his eye on the World Cup because he missed the Euros and he doesn't have that much left in him? I don't know. But you expect your big players, and this is the problem that we were having this season, is the big boys are not doing the job except for Alisson. You know, we can look at Trent, we can look at Virgil, we can look at Fabinho, Salah to an extent. You know, they've not been where we needed them to be. I mean, people are jumping and say, oh, you're blaming Fabinho and this and that, and you're not saying anything about Henderson. Henderson shouldn't really be in our starting 11 anymore. That's why I'm not including him. But I'm just saying that these big lads, and I think Van Dijk has been off the boil. I think it's fair to say that. I don't think it's controversial, you know what I mean? We're not saying that just for clicks and likes, but I think he has been a bit, as I say, 3 yards off instead of 2. But it doesn't sort of take away from the Joe Gomez thing, in that he's just he's trying things that are, as you said, Gav, it's very Dejan Lovren. He's a great game against Man City and then goes out, gives away a penalty against West Ham, dilly-dallies on the ball against Forest, concedes the free kick that we concede from, and then plays a blind pass 3 minutes or whatever into a game against Leeds at home that absolutely took the bleeding wind out of us. But does Gomez need a confident Van Dijk beside him? And that's the problem. Too many lads are off form here, and that's where we're falling down. Seany said it, it's a machine. If there's one cog is off, the whole thing is fucked. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think it's hard to blame the likes of Gomez without portioning the blame onto the other more senior players that probably should be leading a bit better.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think, you know, you can point to, when you look at Gomez, you can kind of say to yourself, well, is VVD any good, playing well on one side of him, and Trent has been, I think he's been a disaster this season. Bar a couple of games, I think he's been a disaster. So you have to look at, like, when I look at Fabinho, I think he's banging out of form. I think his legs look like they're gone. But then I look and I'm kind of going, well, the other two beside him are meant to be rotating, because he seems to be the consistent one there, and the two that are rotating can't fucking, like, they can't give him a break. You know what I mean? They're not giving him enough of a break. So there is, and that's, I suppose, but that's where the injuries come back into it as well, where you say, could this fella being back would help. But and Kanate may help when he comes back, don't get me wrong. But in midfield, for me, I'm looking and I'm saying to myself, well, there's no one there. Like, all right, you if you want to hang your hat in Kate, fine. But there's nobody there where you think he'll come back in, he'll make a massive difference to us over a period of time, that he's going to play 25 games and these lads he can be the consistent one, and other people can rotate around him. I just don't see where it is. Shawnee, there's been loads of talk around Klopp, FSG. You know, there's all sorts going on at the minute. Scott Holder with a super chat said last year that we needed 2 midfielders and was laughed at. We need 4 midfielders before next year, 2 8s, Fabinho's replacement, a proper central attacking midfielder between 22 and 25, tired of our cheap shy. And Sean super chat says, I hear what Shawnee says, but the question is, if we found out that Jurgen was responsible for our transfers and he refused them, would we be Klopp out? Look, Shawnee, we had a big FSG chat last week, and we were nearly all of the opinion that, look, the transfers, there hasn't been enough. We haven't been ruthless enough. You know, we haven't, you know, shown many we didn't get, and we just went, oh, you know, we can't get another one. And I don't believe that if we didn't get shown many, we just signed Nunes. Nunes was coming in anyway for me. But is this just compounding this week on week, Shawnee, where, you know, if anyone had any doubts, them doubts are gone, because this is just, you know, there's just no other way around this but doing what we need to do in January, and that's make moves. If that's not 1, maybe 2.
Yeah, just like it's just a fucking clusterfuck of things. Like, it's just like one of them things now. Like, I feel like if Liverpool fell into a barrel of tits, they came out sucking their own mickeys. Honestly, they just we've had no real luck in terms of with injuries, with players we were trying to get in. And look, you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan B, and I don't think they did. But whatever about injuries and all, I don't think. Like, you look at, I think one of the last things Klopp would have expected to happen to this team is literally nearly all of our big hitters to lose form at the same time, and that's what's happened, really. Like, we went through Van Dijk there, he's not at it. Trent, not at it. Like, Robertson, probably the last 2 games he's had, probably 2 of his better games in a while. I think he looked a lot better against Ajax, and I didn't think he was too bad last night. Mo hasn't been, he's getting goals, but hasn't been himself, really. But for me, Fabinho is like the conduit to everything good. Liverpool, like, remember we used to say, when Fabinho plays well, we win. If he plays well in them big games, we win. And that was the case, because not only does he mop up second balls, he steals your back four. One thing he was fucking brilliant at getting us away in transition with his range of passing. And now he just looks way too scared to make mistakes, because he knows that, not maybe his legs aren't gone, but he knows at this moment in time, he hasn't got the juice to recover. If this ball breaks, if this pass doesn't make it and the ball breaks, I'm not getting it, because he's getting ran all over. So we're not only losing that aspect of his game, where he's getting us up the pitch with them clipped balls over the top into Mo, and they quickly turning the ball over and recycling and getting out and getting us on. He's so fucking key to that system, and he's not doing any of that. He's not winning second balls. He's getting bullied in tackles yesterday. He got caught with the ball yesterday on the ball, and he just kicked it out of play. And when he is on it, it's the fucking 5-yard pass. It's no use to nobody. So, and that's killing us all over the pitch, Gav, because everything is out of whack. Like, we were seeing the high line. We haven't really seen the high line anymore. It just looks like close that folk at the back. Fucking Keystone cops. Lads just swiping at everything. There's no composure. No composure in either box. And it's killing us. And you can turn around and say, toward this, toward that. It starts in the midfield. Because there's no fucking energy there. But outran again. I seen the out last night when it flashed up on the screens, like 60. They outran us last night. They bullied us. We're getting bullied. Klopp's big thing is always about being a hard team to play against. We're so fucking easy to play against. Any side now. Any side. And I'm not even going to say even with a bit about you, because you don't have to have a fucking bit about you. Forest can beat you and West Ham can beat you. They know now, if we stay in this game until the last 10 minutes, whether it's on 1-0 down or 0-all, we can get points. And that hasn't been the case for a long time at Liverpool. So I think the reaction we're seeing now from fans is, I think it's born out of the fact that the last 5 years we've just been fucking brilliant. Yeah. We've been brilliant, and we became accustomed to being brilliant, winning games, handy controlling games, dominating games, home and away, Europe, fucking everywhere. And the drop-off has been rapid, so it's hard for people to take. Now, I'm not going to fucking call people spoiled brats. I think they just got used to winning. We all love winning. But what's happened here now is there's a forced transition. And it looks like to me, Klopp at the moment is going, fuck me. I'm supposed to be... It's like trying to get fucking water out of a boat. And holes just keep appearing. And that could have been helped by maybe himself, the recruitment team and the owners. Whoever you want to stick the blame on. That could have been
all
helped.
of them together. If you're sticking blame, they all have to be blamed.
This is not only, this doesn't belong to just one sport. This happens in every sport all over the world. Teams at the very top have lifespans of maybe 3 to 4 years, 5 years if you're lucky. And I think what we're seeing now is, without being too dramatic, I think this team as we know it and as we knew it is done. I think it's done in an aspect where key players and key performers are no longer able to give us that consistency that we need, whether it's 2 games a week. They just can't do it. And that's where my frustration lies, because everybody fucking knew that. How was it expected to carry on? It started when we won the Champions League and they only brought in Elliott and Adrian, and everyone said we went on and won the league. Yeah, because we were in the early stages of building a fucking world-class team. They were expected to go again. But you need to be just adding them on so when they fall off. For example, look at fucking Bernardo Silva at Man City. He goes in there just as David Silva's about to leave. It's just transition, perfect, gone. Rodri, he's there for a few years, on and off the bench. Fernandinho's out, gone. Bang, you're in. It's succession planning in advance to be in advance. Like, you need to be fucking pre-active when you're making succession planning. But when you want to stay at the very top, you have to be a step ahead of the step ahead. And we seem to have done a good job with the forward line, and we look like we're covered at the back, more or less. You're looking at Canate. There's question marks about Gomez, but I'm with Emmet. He's 24. There's life in him, yeah. He's young for a centre-back. But when you look at the midfield, Gav, we've signed 2 midfielders, permanent deals, since 2018. Naby Keita and Thiago. Am I missing anybody?
No.
Fabinho.
Fabinho.
Yes, 3. So that's 2018. Mm-hmm. That's fucking 5 years now. 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
It's what the fuck did they expect? And you can turn around and tell me Carvalho and Elliott midfielders. They're not Liverpool midfielders. And I'm not That's not. They're not Liverpool style midfielders. They're not Liverpool
Throw
style.
Corpus Jones into that as well, because there is another similar player to them too.
I
Can't
think,
play in the three.
but what I would say for Carvalho,
you need to look. Since that window where we bought Keita and Fabinho, we've signed fucking one midfielder on a permanent deal. One.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And like,
How is that happening?
Look, but this is what I'm saying to you. It comes to the start of the season. Klopp says, and it's openly quoted on numerous places. He says. Now listen, you know what he says. Now you can take it as Klopp being stubborn. You can take it as him covering for FSG. You can take whatever way you want it, right? But like you said there a minute ago, Klopp's looking, going, what the fuck? Part of me does look at Klopp and he thinks to himself, fuck. He actually has that look off him where he's kind of looking and going, oh, bollocks. You know what I mean? It's nearly written all over him, right? And people going, oh, Klopp, look, I've seen fucking stupid things about, Klopp, time for Klopp to go. And I'm kind of going, all right, well, if Klopp goes, bring someone. Who are you bringing in, first of all? And who's going to come in and work for this FSG that everyone fucking hates, which is, it's a non-fucking argument at the minute. But I think, like Kev said it earlier, what's gone is gone, but they'll be judged in January. Because I genuinely don't know. Like, listen, he'd want to be Moses parting water at this fucking stage to get that squad through this season to reach any sort of goal. And that's not being a wanker over it. That's I'm always optimistic. I would call myself optimistic, but at the same time I'll kind of go, well, hold on, that's not right or that's not wrong. But I like to be optimistic. But me sitting here without absolutely slamming Klopp or any of the players or anything, just looking at the evidence without getting too emotional over it, he would need to be fucking Padre Pio at this stage to get right one for the kids. Yeah. He would need to be Padre Pio at this stage to get that squad as it stands, even with the players coming back, because when the players come back, you don't know who's gonna fucking fall out at the same time, to get them to any sort of accomplishment towards the end of the season. Now, I could be eating me words come May, but I don't think, looking at the evidence so far, that I would be. So I think Kev, as he said earlier, I think they will be judged in January. And listen, if it takes the club themselves to hold their hands up and go, we were completely wrong as a club in the summer, we got it wrong, we're trying to fucking change it, fair enough, you're trying to change it. But I just, for the life of me, looking on the evidence at the moment, it's almost sad to see players that are fucking can't turn, can't run. Butter Pants says, great name by the way, James Milner has played 17 games in all competitions for us this season. 17 appearances he's made this season. We've probably played 17 games.
29, I think he made in the whole of last season, I think.
But he's probably... Bobby asked with a super chat, lads, can you tell us what our identity is? The identity's all over the place for me, because I actually have lads messaging us. We say it in the WhatsApp group even. What fucking system are we playing here? Like, what are we doing here? It doesn't seem to work. But Emma, I'm going to start with you first on this, and we'll finish up, right? We've a couple of league games. We've Spurs and Southampton, I think, before the World Cup. We have Napoli during the week. We have Derby in the League Cup, right? What can we do in these couple of games to get us to the World Cup where we're not in any worse a position than we are now? Because I'm looking at Spurs away and even Southampton at home, and I'm going saying to myself, we're in trouble here.
I'd probably be more worried about Southampton than Spurs. We seem to turn it on. I mean, two best games this season so far have probably been against City, Charity Shield in the Community Shield and in the league. What can we do? Survive, try and get to that World Cup as unscathed as possible. It's hard to see it. It's hard to see it. We'll probably go out on Tuesday and smash Napoli and then get hopped off in the league. I just think we need to survive till the World Cup and get our players back. I think we have a couple then, do we, before the window opens after the World Cup?
Yeah, the 26th. We're back.
Yeah, we're back for 2 or 3, I think, before the window opens.
Yeah. So I think we just need to survive them as best we can, but we need to have somebody signed in the first couple of days of January.
But even in those 4 games and the couple you talk about after the World Cup, right? How do we protect this midfield? Because
I don't think there is protecting them.
Listen, if we don't protect this midfield, but in my opinion, if we don't protect this midfield by telling the forwards, listen, stop pressing the other team until they hit a certain marker on this pitch. Because as soon as you press, they're playing beyond you and their midfield can't run around. They can't run around. It's a different midfield every couple of days. They don't have the legs. And on top of that then, because they can't run around, you're asking the defence to turn around and say, well, listen, you just have to react. Because if them forwards go and press and it gets played through, they're all over you. How do we protect this midfield? What do we do? Keith, what do we do for this midfield in the next 4 games where we say we need to be more solid? Because you can be as solid as you want in defence, right? Or bring your fullbacks back. But if your midfield is getting played around, Keith, your defence will never, your defenders as a unit, will individually and as a unit, will never hold out for the game. It's as simple as that.
It's impossible. If the midfield can't do it, as you said, if you press from the front and they pop it into the midfield, players are walking through our midfield. You don't have to be an athlete to get the better of our midfield at the moment. And that's what's killing us. And are these 3 going to the World Cup? Is Thiago back in the Spanish squad? I know he was, but he's back out again. Is he good? Fabinho will go with Brazil and Henderson will probably go with England as well. We could have done without that. Do you know what I mean? We could have done with their manager saying these are stinking, we'll leave them behind, because I think these need to be, I don't know what the plans are during the World Cup for the players that don't go, whether they'll get a break or whatever, or there'll be intense training, whatever the plan will be. But I think you touched on something there, Gav and Emmet as well. What can we do with this midfield? The best we can hope for this season with this midfield.
Sorry, Keith, you answer that and then Keith and Seany can answer. I'm just going to grab a can.
The best we can do with this midfield is just hope for the best and stop the bleeding. We can't change our fortunes with the current players we have. We can only sort of stop the rot. And is that enough to push us on? I don't think so. I think we need an injection into the midfield in January. But who is that player? Do you know what I mean? Look, I've mentioned the likes of Moise Caicedo loads of times. Moise Caicedo's only 20. Do you know what I mean? He's the same age as Carvalho. He's the same age as, or a year older than Harvey Elliott. Do we need more experienced players than that? Do we need a player that's more of literally a number 6 type of player, like Sangare or something like that? What player do we need? What can we do? Does a number 6 push us on? Does it give us a base to allow us to build? How do you think we can fix this in the January? Because people are just saying, get the January. But who the fuck are we going to sign in January? Because I'm seeing players like Lukas Sukic and all that from Salzburg. He's not going to fix what's happening in their midfield. He's an attacking midfield player or a winger. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to be the bleeding answer. Who's the player that can fix it? And that's where my worry is. People think it's easy to just get out there. I don't know who the player is that can come in that's of the right profile that can do it.
I think Seany touched that earlier on as well when he said that the high line seems to have disappeared. But yeah, our midfield still try and get as far forward as they used to. Yeah. So have we actually told the defence to stop playing the high line, but the midfield and not communicate that to the midfielders and the forwards, because they're still pressing, but we're not. The defenders aren't coming up with them. So look, it all looks disjointed. I don't know. I like the sound of this guy Enzo Fernandez. He's kind of a defensive midfielder as well.
I think it's mad to throw names though. I think it's mad to throw names, because if you throw a name anywhere, it's just going to fucking gather pace, and then if you don't sign them, we're the worst in the world. Scott with a super chat says FSG or Klopp have been in the game too long to be making the same mistakes, acting like preschoolers. If players aren't performing, send them out. We need to in January. Darius Hoyt with another super chat says, unfortunately, we have to depend on Jones, Naby and Ox for these games. They will be rested during the World Cup. But you know what? When it all comes down to it, we need to change something. We on the pitch. Forget what we should do in January and all that sort of stuff. We need to do something to protect ourselves. To batten down the hatches for a couple of games and say, right, listen, our midfielders can't play 3 games in a week. We're being outrun. We're being this. We're being that. We're being the other. We need to change something. And for me, if we don't, I think we're going to get hurt, and we're going to hurt badly. And I just get concerned that if we don't get to January and something hasn't turned, or we've stemmed the flow a little bit, that this could just snowball in all over the fucking place, like all over the place. Look, it's not nice to come on and talk about Liverpool defeats. It's not nice to come on and it hurts me to come on and talk about players and you kind of go, and genuinely you do look, and it's not me being like just, you know, overreacting to stuff, but genuinely you're looking at players going, I don't know if there's any more in him. You know, like Shawnee, I'll ask you something, right? Say for argument's sake we get to January and we sign 2 midfielders, right? Take whatever ones you want. I don't care about fucking money or anything. But we sign 2. Can you see the 2 signings rejuvenating players in that squad? Or is it a case of, no, we probably thought we needed 2 and now you're looking at going, they're probably showing that we need more than that? Or can you see Fabinho getting an uptake in that and a lift in that? Can you see a Henderson with a reserve role in the squad getting a lift in that? Can 2 be really good for the team but also really good for everyone else around them? I presume they can.
Well, it depends who they are.
Well, you pick 2.
But this is the thing with Liverpool, Gav. Like you say, 2 signings in January. It could be fucking Kabak and Davies all over again.
Yeah, well, Chris Brack says the exact same thing.
Could be Arthur Mello. Like that's no use. Like we need someone with legs in there, a physical specimen who can get around the pitch, who can retain the ball, who can win the ball back. We need.
Sounds like you're describing Key Plunkett here, to be honest with you.
We need a 25-year-old genuine.
No, you're not describing Key Plunkett anymore. Come on.
We need a 25-year-old genuine album, and we need somebody who can sit in there and just take Fabinho's place, even if it's.
Would you go for Declan Rice?
I'd give 100 million for Declan Rice tomorrow. I think he's fucking brilliant.
Wow. I'm not a huge fan. I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of his. But I think we do need to get English players in as well, because I'm starting to come more around to the Declan Rice, throw money at West Ham, see what they want, and bring him in.
But we need 2 players. And you saying they're going to make a difference. Look, they might not, but what I definitely will do will give us a little bit of fucking stability, because it's something that we haven't got there at the moment. And I reckon with 2 players in there who can play, who have legs, who have energy, would sort an awful lot of our problems. It would allow our defenders to defend and our attackers to attack. And I think that's exactly what we need. It's never a good time to be fucking buying players in January, but we actually have no excuse though. So we need to do it. And people turn around going, you don't want them to spread this, that, and the other. Honestly, if they've to spend fucking 80 million in a window, they've got to do it. They've got to do it. Because, look, the people saying top 4 is over, I don't agree with that whatsoever. Look at yesterday. Spurs pulling one out away from Bournemouth and fucking Chelsea getting battered. Teams are all over the place in this league this year. They're going to drop points.
Yeah, but it's about putting 4 or 5. You need to put 4 or 5 wins together, Shawnee, and we just don't look like doing it.
Yeah, but if we can get players back in the World Cup, like we fucking, if Klopp wanted to play a 4-3-3 now, we couldn't even play one if he wanted.
Yeah,
because the players aren't there. Look at the bench yesterday. That's the point.
Kevin Ball is asking where's the money coming from, lads. Well, like
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. No, but the thing is, Kev, the way it is, like, if we're spending everything we brought in, and Mo chatted on another thing on Twitter today, and it absolutely bamboozled me as to where he was getting his numbers from. And look, he's well entitled to put that stuff on Twitter, but I just couldn't get my head around how Liverpool are literally putting everything back in that they earn, but he's telling us that they're not. But the numbers aren't there to really prove that. But they might prove themselves in January or February. But also, apparently, these numbers can be misleading. So it was very confusing for me today with regards to Liverpool's finances. But Kev, the big thing for me on that is that, it's listen. Your model. I said it the other night. If you're absolutely spot on with this model, and what I mean is you're absolutely on it every fucking day from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. You're bang on it. It works, and you can spend money, and you can have a great squad. And Liverpool did have a great squad. We just haven't replenished it enough. Maybe, we just haven't replenished it enough properly over the last 18 months to 2 years, and it's starting to show there now, and that's absolutely fine. Klopp has believed that he could do it. He's probably wrong, and he's openly admitted he's wrong, and he's probably thinking big time to himself, no, I'm really fucking wrong now, but I can't come out and tell them that at the minute. And the model can be absolutely perfect, but if it goes wrong and you take your eye off it as a club, forget manager, forget recruitment, forget fucking Billy Hogan or whoever, all the lads, if you take your eye off it as a club, which if they have taken their eye off it, it's as a club, because nobody's just making one decision within that club and everybody's going, oh, that's a great decision. They all sit down. We know this. Like, this isn't me trying to fucking plumage you. We know that they all sit down and they all talk and they all have meetings constantly about fucking things, right? But if it's gone wrong and you've taken your eye off it, it's time to bite a bullet and say to yourself, lads, we take in X amount and we spend X amount and we're fucked. Right, so what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to find 100 million from somewhere, and we're gonna have to, put it in, and we're gonna have to make our way through this over the next whatever amount of time, and maybe not changing the model completely, but bending a little bit of leeway where you go, you have to. I know it's more than we earn, but we have to get the investment in here, because if we don't, we will stop earning what we're currently earning, and we won't have the opportunity to earn it. It's fucking economics. That's just how it works. You know what I mean? And we'll have to bend it a little bit, and we'll have to absorb it over a time.
They're not afraid to spend the money. If we believe the Tchouaméni deal was something that was in place, and if we believe that the Bellingham price was set, and if we believe Chiesa and all, but that's what I mean. So if they're not afraid to spend money, they're not afraid to spend money. But that's what I mean. So the money is there. Well, the wage is a different thing, but if you're talking about 100 million transfer on Jude Bellingham, the money is there. That's the point. The money is there. Is a Klopp that's not willing to spend on the backup or the right player, that sure has to go out the window. There has to be a fucking deal done. If it's not going to be a Bellingham or a Declan Rice or a player that's going to want 200 grand a week, because a lot of them are, let's be honest, it has to be the next level down. Now, I've seen Alexis McAllister get mentioned in there. I'd love Alexis
signed a new deal.
We signed a new deal, so he's out of the equation. They have to look for a smarter player to get in if they're not going to pay the wages. The money is there. The money is there. It's not like they have to find it. They're just not willing to spend it, and they're not willing to spend the wages on top of the whopper transfer fee, which makes no sense, because if you're spending that money, they're getting big wages.
Yeah,
so it's a fucking
correct. And the other thing is, before any fucking bids, before you agree with any club, you're usually going in and saying to a player, what's the ballpark here? That's the ballpark, grand, right? And we go off and we'll agree a deal with the club, because you've seen it so many times. Monaco have agreed, or Tchouaméni's agreed a deal with Real Madrid. It's just up to Real Madrid to agree a fee now at Monaco, stuff like that. Yeah. But look, it's one of those where I think, we keep talking about January, but I think without repeating ourselves, it feels like we just need to, if I said to you now, you could be fucking Marty McFly and go fucking forward to the 1st of January, everyone would be on it. The fucking bus would be packed, you know what I mean? Because everyone would just want to get to the 1st of January and see where we are from there. We're going to leave it there, though. It was a good chat. We've been critical. There's a bit of hope there. A little bit of positivity in different things, yeah, maybe. But overall, it's been all right. It hasn't been as bad as I thought it was going to be, because Sunday nights are becoming a fucking struggle.
Oh, stop.
You know what I mean?
It's like Glen Rowe when you be up for school the next day, isn't it?
Yeah, Where in the World. Do you remember Where in the World was on a Sunday night?
I get the text from you on a Sunday now. Are you doing a show tonight? I'm like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Who was on Where in the World? What was your woman's name on Where in the World? Trees Low. Yeah. And then during the week, you'd have a bit of Annika Rice just landing on the top of mountains in helicopters, remember?
Yeah.
She was the crack. What are you laughing at?
I was drinking when you said I need to get me every nose. That was deadly challenge, Annika. That was class.
Yeah. I'd challenge Annika to just lay off the helicopters, you know what I mean? Shawnee, anything else before we go? I think Shawnee's reading a star sign there. Go on.
I'm looking up Glen Rowe here to see if I remember. I can't perform.
Look up in Glen Rowe. Look up Miley and Fidelma. He was a dirty fucker, that fella. No,
Ask your bros, they'll all know about it,
Yeah,
Shawnee.
they
That
will.
was the thing. Sunday night, Glen Rowe comes on, into
Yeah.
bed.
Sure,
you're
there's
up for
about 8
school.
lessons on a Sunday night. I reckon they were all, you know, fucking when he gets out of the bat, the next fella has to get in. That's
Yeah.
how it was in them days.
The Glen Rowe music used to make you remember you fucking forgot to do your homework.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. It was 100% that.
Yeah, what's this alternative movie ending you were talking about actually?
Oh, so last week Keith wanted the alternative movie ending to Dirty Dancing, right? He said, listen, if you just left the band playing at the end of that, it would have been grand. There's no need for Swayze to rock in there and pick your woman up and swing her around. And I said, well, look, Keith, if that happens, it just ends up the film ends with some boxy band playing in the background. Swayze's outside having a smoke, and your woman's fucking having a moan over in the corner, right? Yeah. So I asked Keith what the last film was he watched. I just asked him today, and he said Halloween. Right?
The original.
So, was it Halloween?
Halloween.
Yeah.
The new one.
The original. What?
The original. The original Halloween movie.
From 1978, cracking movie. Yeah.
1978, cracking movie. Keith, so I said to Keith, what would be the alternative end of the Halloween? Now, my suggestion was that instead of nearly getting caught, right, he holds his hand up and says, look, I'm sorry, right? And they all go, look, don't worry about it. And he ends up, you know, I don't know, he ends up doing the trolleys in Dunstars or Tesco's, right? But on his spare time, he's like a counsellor for younger kids, and he manages the under-12s baseball team. I think that'd be a brilliant alternative ending. Just to bore the fuck out of it.
A rehabilitated serial killer.
What?
Shining. What about The Shining? Like Jack Nicholson.
Shining.
Jack Nicholson's driving up to the hotel and he just turns around and goes, do you know what? Fuck this, I'm going home. The car
Yeah. Have you got a tin of paint and I'll paint all these doors rather than smash through
them? Or he smashes up all the doors, right? And then bangs his head and wakes up and goes,
even go to the hotel. He just turn around on the road and go, oh, say, that's a lot of bollocks.
No, I'd say he could bang his head then and go, oh, am I fucking doing that? I'm a fucking prick, am I? And then next of all, you see him and he's allowed, you know, doors, and he's planing a bit off the end. He's putting all the doors back proper. But Keith, what would your alternative ending to be to The Shining or Halloween now, to be honest with you?
Well, to Halloween, yeah, I agree. The rehabilitated serial killer is good stick, all right. I don't know how feasible it can be. He goes in there as about 6 years old after killing his whole family. I don't know if he can rehabilitate him, but funny thing, we were watching it, right, and as I say, he's 6 when he gets fucked into the mental hospital. He escapes 15 years later.
It's a good film.
It's a great film. Yeah, it's a great film. But yes, do you know how he escapes, right? He robs a car, right? He's in the mental hospital since, he's 15 years later, he escapes. But he's 6 when he goes in. Great driver, right? Robs the car, goes to Haddonfield.
Hold on, what time does he go into, what age is he when he goes into this hospital?
6.
And he comes out at 21 and he's a deadly driver. Is airport school a motoring going in every once a week to give him a lesson?
He's following the kids around Haddonfield in the car. But you know what my missus said? She goes, he's a better driver than you. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. He is a better driver than me. 6 years old he went in and he's a better driver than fucking I am. But yeah, I was like, what's going on here? He robs a car, drives off into the night, and then starts stalking people in the car. Great film, cracking film. So I'd like to know where he learned to drive.
So what you're saying is he should come out and instead of being a killer at the end, he should go, listen, driving lessons free for everyone for the next month and we call it quits. Right, so hold on, Johnny, the fella in Halloween, the alternative ending for Keith to Halloween is your man apologising and offering driving lessons to everyone in the town for a month for free. Right, I get it.
He's a natural. You know, he's just
it's like Colin McRae going around the gaff, is he? All right.
He's a safe driver, very safe.
Shawnee, you can pick any film you want for an alternative ending if you want. Any film you want.
What do you think?
Free Willy lands on the wall. Something along them lines.
George, your man just says, fuck that, boys. I'm out of here. I'm not.
You do know the shark, lads. You know it's a shark.
If that doesn't happen, like the whole film doesn't make sense. Do you ever get when you're talking about it seriously, someone is like, yeah, well, why wouldn't you just do that? And he goes, because that wouldn't make good television, you fucking idiot. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think.
What like in Free
Tony
Willy?
Danza was good. Imagine Paddy Swayze just said, fuck that off. I'm doing all out here. She's a fucking melter. Gone out.
Can't be
She's a
dealing with
melter.
this.
Imagine in Free Willy, the ump is on the wall and he's going, come on, Free, come on, Willy, come on, Willy. And then he just swims up to it and goes, me bollocks. And just turns around, I'll stay here.
Imagine Terminator. He just walks into the police station. He's like, where's Sarah Connor? She's not in there. And he says, I'll be back. But he just
doesn't come back.
Goes out for the milk and never comes back.
Yeah, he doesn't come back. He ends up meeting a mate for a point and he forgets all about her.
He'll be back at the end. He just never shows up.
Yeah. Emma, any alternative endings to any films? You can have.
I'll go with The Shining because it was mentioned. So he does up the hotel and then gets a job on RTE going around judging all the hotels in Ireland.
Oh, like your man, like the brothers. What's his name?
Francis
Brennan.
No, hold on. Is Dermot Bannon the fella that does the hotels?
Dermot Bannon is room to improve. Francis Brennan.
He's the Francis what?
Francis Brennan.
He's a mad bastard, him, isn't
Francis and John Brennan.
Oh my God, the fella with the silver hair. He's a mad fucker, he is. And he's just, but you know what I loved about him was he was always real happy and smiley while absolutely slaughtering people. Yeah. You know, like he was constantly smiling while telling like people they're the worst people in the world to be employed in a hotel. But there you go. Alternative film endings to finish us off because look, what's the point? Like we're meant to have a laugh.
Now thinking they're fucking different ones now.
Yeah. Get your ideas in for next week, kids. When Liverpool lose away to Spurs. Shawnee, anything else before we go?
Yeah, I actually do have one. Remember Sully? It's actually a true story where a man flies the plane.
Oh, yeah.
The man you just called in sick.
yeah.
He just saved everyone the hassle.
Yeah.
Plane crashed in the country, Russell River today. You said, fucking hell.
Emma, anything else before we go?
No, Noel K has one there. Tom Hanks leaves Private Ryan at the bridge and just says, fuck you, go make your own way home.
Keith, anything else before we go?
No, nothing. Can't top any of that. Great chat.
I'm really into the idea of the guy. What's his name? The guy from Halloween?
Michael Myers.
No, what's his name in it?
Michael Myers.
Is that his name in it?
No one knows his name in real life. It's behind a mask.
What's the one? What's the other horror? There's a fella in it.
Friday the 13th.
No, not Friday the 13th. Is there a Jason?
Jason is Friday the 13th.
Is he? Okay. You see, I don't watch any of these films. So.
You should watch them. I watch them all.
But no, listen, come here.
He went into a mental home and he was a really good pilot when he came out. So.
Yeah, he was a fucking plumber when he came out. Come here. I'm really behind the idea of this fella going in at 6, coming out at 21. And like, instead of people hating him, he's just giving driving lessons out. How the fuck he knows how to drive? Nobody knows. But I'm really, really into that. Rocky trips and hits his head running up the stairs. Fight cancelled, says Brian O'Halloran. Yeah, I'm up for that as well. Listen, that has been the Fatback 4. We've kept you for long enough. Thanks to Keith, thanks to Emma, thanks to Shawnee. Make sure to check out the link for Lydia in the show description.
Maybe does Dallas, she moves on to New York.
See, they're all coming now. The link for Lydia is in the description. If you can help out, please do by donating. If you can't, copy the link, send it amongst your friends, family, colleagues, wherever it might be, and we get it to that 5k and hopefully get it done before Christmas. That'll be a nice finish to the year.
One last film. Apocalypse Now. Liverpool come fourth.
Okay. Right. We might do a show soon about just alternative movie endings and whatever we want, because I think they're the best shows where we just sit and just talk about whatever we fucking like. But for the moment, we leave it as Shani has to go and get his weekend games and FIFA sorted out. Emma is.
I went 18-2 this weekend.
18-2 is good. It's good. Emma has a Mallorca top on. I think someone spotted that earlier because clearly he's born to the Liverpool jersey. And Keith's gone to watch some films where he can just sit there and at the end of it say to his missus, "Imagine this happened in the end." He's going to wreck everybody's head in the house. That's been the Fatback 4. Talk to you in a bit. Over and out.